everybody, welcome to another episode of Beyond the Black Rims. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
And this is Season 5, Episode 22.
Or Episode 116 if you're counting.
This typically is not a show that we would typically do on a Friday. Of course, we would do this on a Thursday, but yesterday was Thanksgiving here in America, so happy after Thanksgiving, I guess.
Well, technically, if we're being accurate to the day, it's Happy Black Friday.
Who's happy about Black Friday?
Anybody who had money to spend on Black Friday.
So I hope everything's coming in loud and clear right now. It is unusual for us to be streaming on a Friday, and it's good to see some faces we don't always get to see live here in the chat right now. I guess probably because it's a different day and it's more convenient for some people than for others. But I mean, if you guys have been watching not live, like post-show, I mean, that's cool too. But thankfully you're here because, you know, as always, you get to participate in the Q&A segment at the end of the show, and that's always fun. Thank you as always to the Patreon contributors over at patreon.com/MarsGirl, and you guys always make this show happen and other shows, and it's really been really helpful so that I've been able to get out more content for you guys. I've been really happy doing it.
Yeah, because you just had a lot of stuff posted to Channel Awesome this week.
Oh, the past 2 weeks, it's been this constant backlog of all these different things that have been coming out that I'd been doing the last couple of months. Yesterday, they posted up my review of Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills.
It was terrible. Not your review, the series. I want to make that clear.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And then today they posted up that when we came back from seeing Gem and the
Your
Holograms,
Gem vlog.
and I just went on for 30 minutes, which really, I probably shouldn't have done. Shouldn't have gone on for that long, but people watched it.
Unfortunately, the movie went on for longer.
Yeah, that probably should have not even gone on ever.
Yes.
Really, you know, it's interesting. My next review coming up is going to be of the Transformers, the movie, as was Patreon requested by, you actually see down here in the ticker here in a little bit, Gabe was the requester of that movie, and I'm gonna bring this up in the video, but I'm not gonna bring up too much about what I have to say about the movie, but because that movie went into theaters, Transformers, in 1986, and it came out, it made, I think, 1,700,000 something or other, but it came out at, placed 14th in the box office.
Yeah.
Approximately the same place as Gem and the Holograms when it came out a couple months ago. Which, interestingly enough, Toei, the anime studio, Toei, animated Transformers, G.I. Joe, and Gem. So that box office, it was technically a bomb, and very much a disappointment.
Normally 14 is a bomb.
Yeah, and it was a disappointment for Hasbro. And for that reason, the G.I. Joe movie came out direct-to-video rather than going into theaters, and they were planning on making a Gem and the Holograms animated movie that would have been super incredible, hardcore detailed, like the Transformers and G.I. Joe movies.
But it didn't happen.
But it never happened. They just outright canceled it. So imagine that. We could have been living in a world where we had a super hardcore, awesome, detailed Gem and the Holograms animated movie.
Nope.
And instead, we got what came out a couple months ago.
Nope.
30 years later.
Yeah.
So it was awful.
It sucked.
Yep. So I do want to say one more thing before we move on to other things that we typically talk about. Right here, right now in Central Texas, it's raining. I want to say that because should something happen during the stream, I am sorry. I just wanted to prep you guys ahead of time.
Yeah, just in case.
Don't
I'm
freak
just
people
playing.
out.
I'm
Don't
just
freak
playing.
people out.
Okay. And the thing is, too, you're also in another movie that came out this week.
Well, yes. Tomorrow is the release of the fifth and final part of the Atop the Fourth Wall movie, also being released every single day in parts on channelawesome.com, and it was a very fun experience. I'm glad I got to be part of it, and now you guys can see it. The first 4 parts are already out, so if you go to channelawesome.com, it's all there, and then the 5th one comes out tomorrow, so you get to finish that whole story.
Yes. Yay.
Alright, so what else has been going on before we move on?
Well, I know we're going to cover some Black Friday stuff in the follow-up, since we talked about it last week, and then it was today, and we already have a lot of the news about today. but I had to take part in some way, shape, or form. Thankfully, you don't have to go down to the store. If you don't have to, you can just buy stuff online.
So you got... Oh, this is green.
Oh, yeah, that's green there. It doesn't look too bad, actually, where it's see-through. That's actually kind of cool. Wait, can I...
No,
Can you see
it
my
doesn't.
eyes?
It doesn't work
Okay,
like
it doesn't
that.
work
It's
like
still
that.
actually a physical piece of
Okay,
material.
alright.
It doesn't work.
But yes,
like
this is the Nerf Modulus, probably one of the more expensive ones they've got right now. Normally retails for
what,
50.
40? Oh, 50.
But thankfully, thanks to Target's discount, Nerf stuff was, I think, 20% off right now, and then there was a discount code that you could use online. I got it for about $33.
Not bad.
That's pretty
Not
sweet.
Bad, yeah.
This is just the base gun. It comes with a lot of different accessories, which I've kept off to the side now. But this thing's pretty sweet. It's a lot lighter than, say, your Rapid Strike or your Demolisher. I bet you anything this is going to be my go-to come the Nerf War this coming MagFest. I already like it.
Yes.
I've already fallen in love with it.
You've already also
yes.
put tons of different attachments. Not right now, mind you.
Not right now, but thankfully...
But it makes it so big!
Well, yeah, see, that's the thing about the Modulus line. It was designed to have all of these attachments come onto it. I have most of the attachments already. I just need to get the, I think it's the SWAT or the Assault Pack, whichever one it is, that has the hilt that has the gun built into it, and then I'm pretty much set. I've got all the attachments that came out for this. And of course it works with all the other ones. You know, they've got the tactical rails, the nozzle at the front here. I really like it. I like my new gun.
Yes. I know
Yes.
you do. I'm glad you got it.
I'm glad I got it too, because I had been waiting.
Alright, well, then I guess we better talk about what our stories actually are going to be here a little bit later on in the show, right? So,
Yes.
Yeah, let's cover that. Our first story this
Bacon.
evening... Bacon, sure.
I'm not lying.
No, technically not. We're going to be talking about Tremors. As you guys probably know, recently a Tremors movie was released onto Netflix.
Tremors Bloodlines.
But now apparently there's going to be a TV series being developed which features the return of Kevin Bacon.
Who has not been there since the first movie.
Exactly. So that's very, very interesting, and we'll be discussing that a little later on.
Our second story has to do with an interesting story coming out of Cartoon Network, and they're having been sued over the likeness of the Donkey Kong champion.
The previous Donkey Kong
champion having his likeness used in regular show, and we'll talk to you guys about how that's a little weird.
And how he then sued.
Yes.
Yes. And then finally, third and final story, have you guys seen this new trailer for Captain America Civil War?
Yes.
Yes.
I have seen it. I've seen it multiple times. Not Star Wars levels, but enough times to be like, yes.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be good.
It's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be good.
So I guess we're just basically talking about
Yes, we're gonna
Civil
break
War.
down the trailer for you guys, talk about a couple of things having to do with that.
Alright, awesome. But we do have some follow-up stories before we get into those stories. So go ahead.
Yes. Follow-ups.
Please,
All right.
just go ahead.
Okay. So let's go ahead and start out with the DC news for the night. So in television DC news, we have confirmation that in the 12th episode this season of Arrow, Colton Haynes will be back as Roy Harper, Arsenal. For fans who have been watching the series, they've been waiting for him to come back since they kind of gave him an exit last season when, in actuality, Colton Haynes' contract was up, thus allowing Thea to become the Green Arrow's sidekick in this season. But now we'll see him come back. A lot of fans have been waiting for him to return and very much looking forward to that. In other DC TV news, we also got a new trailer for DC's Legends of Tomorrow. This is a lot more updated than the first one we saw, because the first one, in comparison now, is more of a proof of concept. Now we have a more full cast. We've got to look at the new Firestorm costume that now looks more comic accurate, the red and the yellow suit. Nice to see that nice 3D rendered time-traveling vehicle that Rip Hunter now has. Rip Hunter being played by Doctor Who's Arthur Darvill. This, of course, will be premiering in January. Very much looking forward to that.
Awesome.
These next couple of episodes of both The Flash and Arrow will be leading into this, and that two-part team-up will be next week. Okay, so moving on to other TV news. So over on Supergirl, they've been teasing Superman. His presence is very much felt in the series, but he's not actually there on screen. Well, it seems that later on in this season, they're looking to actually have a young Clark Kent on the show. So they're casting right now to see who's going to be playing that part. It's going to be interesting to see how that fits in the timeline, given how long it took Kara to get to Earth So nobody's exactly sure how that's going to play out, but they are at least looking for a form of Superman.
Okay.
Yes. Hopefully we will eventually get Superman on TV because it's been a while.
I'm still not watching Supergirl currently.
It's all right. It's not amazing to me, but it's there. It's not Gotham bad. Let's put it that way.
No, I don't necessarily. From what I was overhearing from the first episode, it didn't seem bad, but a lot of the dialogue was really like, sounds kind of forced. That's all I really think about it currently.
And speaking of Gotham, that actually brings us into something that parlays into our usual segment that we always got to bring up. Not quite Justice League. Here we go.
It's a good thing that I decided, we're probably going to need this again, because I accidentally deleted the picture, and then had to go back and get it again, so yes.
Okay, so having to do with Gotham, apparently this Monday night on Gotham, there will be a sneak peek of Batman vs. Superman on the show. So you guys will unfortunately either have to tune into Gotham, or wait like the rest of us on the internet when it actually shows up.
$10 says that it leaks onto the internet before it ever hits TV.
We can only hope.
And then nobody has to watch Gotham. Somebody's gonna watch Gotham.
Somebody's watching Gotham.
You've been watching Gotham anyway.
It's morbid.
Horrible.
It's
person.
morbid curiosity. All right. See, it's weird how I'm starting to like what they're doing with Nigma, but everything else is crap. It's so weird. And then, of course, along those same lines, we've got the Wonder Woman movie coming out right after this Batman v Superman movie, and we've got our first picture here from the set of the movie, which has in fact started filming. Here we can see Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, nice little hood action going on. They are currently filming right now.
She looks like a woman. Yeah, I mean,
it's the same costume. I mean, there's not anything amazing about that. We're going to be waiting now for more set pictures to show up now that we know that they're filming, and hopefully that will give us more of an inkling into what exactly this DC cinematic universe, or I forget the exact term they used, will look like. Just hopefully they can play catch-up, because everybody knows they need it.
Yeah, because everybody knows that Marvel's been whooping for years.
So we'll move over to Marvel news. Of course, this past Friday, we saw the release of Marvel's Jessica Jones on Netflix, and it has been getting mostly positive reviews. A lot of people are saying it's not quite as good as Daredevil. Personally, I'm only halfway through the series. I think it takes a little longer to get started than Daredevil did.
Well, you and I sat together to watch the first episode.
Yes.
And I'll say this much. There was definitely the grounds of something that can be very, very good. But at the same time, I also felt, I don't know if bored is the right word, but there were moments where it felt like this scene that's happening right now is not serving a purpose, and I was like, why is this happening?
Yeah, there's a lot of that in the first, say, 2 or 3 episodes. Once you get to about episode 4, then it kicks in. That may or may not exactly work in its favor, but as a whole, by this point, episode 6, where I'm at, going into episode 7, it's really starting to pay off. I like the chemistry between Mike Coulter and Kristen Ritter. David Tennant, of course, is knocking it out of the park as Kilgrave. And of course, you can all watch it right now over on Netflix. But that's the story of a successful Marvel property. There are also unsuccessful Marvel properties,
such as
Fantastic Friggin' Four. So we all knew it was going to happen. So Fox took the sequel off the calendar for that Fantastic Four movie. You know, the one that nobody went to go see and it bombed real hard.
Yeah,
that ain't
but
happening.
But it didn't bomb harder than Jem and the Holograms.
Which is weird.
That is kind of weird, I guess.
You'd figure, right? But no, yeah, we don't have to worry about it anymore.
To be fair, Fantastic Four, I think, probably had a broader nationwide knowledge and acknowledgement of what the characters are. Despite the fact that Jem and the Holograms was also co-produced by Marvel back in the day.
Well, see, the thing about it is, they have that similarity in both movies when they came out, really tried their hardest to distance themselves from what make the characters, and that's why they both failed.
But realize, it was... What do you expect when Fox develops something that really should be under Marvel's hand to begin with, you know? You're kind of expecting it out of, well, Fox screwed up again. Just give them all back.
Yeah.
At this point.
At this point, it's a moot point. We know that you failed, Fox. Just try and save a little face. Give it back to Marvel.
That would be nice, right?
We'd like to have another good Fantastic Four movie that's not made by Disney Pixar. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to some Tokusatsu news. So we have Bat Ride War Genesis coming out, and we actually now have some confirmation about some of the playable characters. Of course, this is the first Bat Ride War game where we'll actually get to see the Heisei, both Heisei and Showa riders available, and the original rider, Kamen Rider 1, Hongo Takeshi, will be playable in-game, not just as Rider 1, but as his civilian form. And here you can see him on his trademark Cyclone. Two cool things about it. One, we haven't gotten full confirmation.
I'm gonna try to bigify this, but
yeah, show how good he looks.
It's gonna take a second. Just keep talking.
Okay. Two cool things about this. One, it looks like he's actually, or sounds like he's actually being voiced by his namesake, his original actor, Hiroshi Fujioka. The other cool thing about it is apparently a nice, cool game mechanic that they brought back from the original series, is that as Hongo, you can actually dress up disguised as a shocker grunt and beat people up.
No kidding.
Yeah, before you transform. So that sounds friggin' awesome. Very much looking forward to Bat Ride War Genesis when it comes out. Okay, so we have a little bit of other game news for Attack on Titan. So we have a confirmation from a new trailer coming out of Japan that the launch date in Japan will be in February. This new trailer has a lot of gameplay footage showing it's a lot crisper than the previous footage. Very much looks like the anime.
I was a little concerned about it before because we weren't really seeing gameplay up until this point. Seems like now we're seeing more and more. They're finally releasing more and more. Certainly looks better than that 3DS game that came out last year.
See, that's the thing about it. I think it works the same as the 3DS game in my mind, but it looks better.
I bet it controls better. I bet it controls similarly but better. I bet it's better. It handles better.
Yes, that is the hope. Okay, and moving on to other news with The Force Awakens. Star Wars, of course, we're only a few days away from the release.
Don't say the few days. Like
it is a few days.
It's a couple of weeks still.
More than under 3 weeks now. Under 3 weeks. And interesting thing we saw this week from Jimmy Kimmel Live, had a whole segment dedicated to The Force Awakens the other night, and thankfully Han and Chewie have made up.
So says Jimmy Kimmel.
Yes, so says the storyline there on Jimmy Kimmel. That also had J.J. Abrams on the show confirming that aside from a few little tweaks here and there, the movie is done. Yeah. They are completely done.
Also confirmed the first word in the movie. What was this? Is this.
See, I'm willing to bet it's somebody, like, calling in, like, this is so-so and so-so.
It's going to be, like, a really bland line.
Yeah, but that's what I think it is. You know, somebody, you know, calling in, asking for docking permission or something like that.
And then we're not going to talk about what other things we have seen that have been released this past week. We will say that there was a 60-second commercial released.
And more TV spots coming out.
There's just been TV spot after TV spot now when Abrams said a while back, no, this trailer's like the last thing I'm going to show you.
Yeah, you imagine that's how he said it, because he keeps showing, I'll say that much, the dogfight stuff, I'm like, it's so beautiful looking. I don't know that I will ever see a dogfight look that beautiful ever again, until the next Star Wars movie. I want it right now.
I understand.
Yes.
Don't worry, we only have to wait so much longer. I can't believe the day is almost here.
I know.
We've been waiting for years now, and it's almost here. Just hold out a little bit longer.
And the last bit of our follow-ups are going to cover Black Friday stuff.
Oh yeah, we did. You know, it's funny. I was looking at who had really great Black Friday deals. I don't know. And then I came across Cards Against Humanity had this really funny Black Friday deal where you literally got to purchase nothing. Like, with real functioning money, you can purchase nothing. You give Cards Against Humanity $5.
And you get nothing.
That's it. Then they immediately say, give us another $5. I suppose that's not exactly ripping you off when they're telling you that that's exactly what they're doing. I suppose it's their own means of really hilarious fundraising. I can't even get mad at that.
You can't.
I can't. It's too funny. I'm looking at other videos at the same time of other bad Black Friday things that went down.
I hate having to admit this, and yet I don't. I feel better that this year there were more fights than last year.
Were there more fights, you think?
There were more fights reported, at least, this year.
Guys,
Because last year seemed pretty
looking,
tame.
I am looking at a page with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different videos.
And then I saw another one that had at least 4 over on my Facebook wall. So, yeah, fights broke out this morning. People are getting ready to throw down.
We went, because we were at your family's house last night.
Last night, right.
And then, you know how some stores are basically doing Black Friday on Thanksgiving Thursday now, right? And we just drove past a couple of Targets just to be like, alright guys, what are you guys up to? Full parking lots.
Full parking lots.
Full ass parking lots.
And the thing about it is, like, it's not, like, busy day. Like, they're pretty full. Like, I'm imagining people decided to move Thanksgiving dinner to Thanksgiving lunch. That way they had time to take a nap and then get ready to go out and do battle for an Xbox One bundle.
Somebody wanted it that badly.
Somebody wanted the Black Friday bundoo.
Black Friday bundoo.
Never forget.
Never forget.
And that's going to do it for our follow-ups for the evening. Now we should get to our actual stories.
Yeah, I guess so. Alright, so our first one was Tremors. Okay, I totally have a Tremors picture somewhere.
It's right there.
It's this one. Yeah.
Graboid!
I'm gonna eat Kevin Bacon.
You like bacon.
I like
Regular
bacon, but yeah, not Kevin Bacon. Well, it's not that I don't like. You know what? Why don't you talk?
All right.
Take the reins away from me. I can't talk.
Back in 1990, we saw the release of this movie, kind of horror movie called Tremors, starring, of course, Kevin Bacon in one of his earlier roles as Valentine McKee. This was a story that revolved around this small town out in the desert, which had these kind of primordial monsters called graboids, basically giant worms with teeth and little tendrils that come out the mouth, and
it's like a land shark, like a really
it's basically
ugly
a land shark. And they have basically like orangish blood, and they follow people with vibrations, hence the title Tremors.
Yeah, I had the worst experience as a child where somebody decided to leave the TV on and leave Tremors running, and I was way too young to be watching Tremors.
See, I watched Tremors.
I had nightmares after that.
See, I loved Tremors growing up.
No, I thought it was cool, but at the same time it was like, in a little kid's head, like a little kid at a certain age probably shouldn't see Tremors.
Yeah.
You know? I saw Tremors.
Yeah, but Tremors was fun. The thing about it was, it wasn't too inherently scary, I don't think. I mean, maybe for a young kid, but I remember watching it when I was like, what, 7, 8, something like that? Mm-hmm. And it was fun to me. The graboids never scared me. I just thought it was cool watching these guys try to outwit these worms, basically.
Yes.
And from that point, Tremors has spawned several different sequels.
Yeah, so several people had to figure out how to outsmart these worm-like creatures.
And as such, the threat got bigger with each subsequent movie. They of course, graduated to the biped ones, the name escapes me, and then there's they named it that, the Ass Blaster graboid offspring.
Oh, man.
And then
I never watched any past the second movie, unfortunately, so I still have to catch up on this one that got released out on Netflix this year.
Well, because there's Tremors, Tremors 2, Tremors 3, Tremors Back to Perfection, and now Tremors 5 Bloodlines. This most recent one, which you can watch on Netflix if you so choose. You don't really need to know much about it. Just know, like the last 3, they follow Michael Gross's character more closely than the other ones did, since he's kind of the line between all of the movies.
The thread that holds them all together, yeah.
Right, and it's fine. You know, he's the gun nut there.
But at the same time, it's like nice to kind of return to Kevin Bacon, and it's interesting that he's how many TV series has he ever like regularly?
Well, because he was doing what was The Following on Fox for a while, and I guess that's not a thing anymore. So I guess he's free to do it.
Fox cancels shows.
Yes,
that's a thing.
That's a thing they do. That's all they do. But now we're hearing that this is going to be a thing, that he's coming back for the first time, 25 years removed from the first time he was in that movie, coming back to the role. And I'm thinking about it like...
And Kevin Bacon.
So I'm trying to figure out, if he's coming back to the role, if Burt has been holding it down for the last couple of movies, what's he gonna do?
Punch him in the face and take back...
Well, no, because they get along. Those two characters have never really had any animosity towards one another. But the thing about it is, every movie you have to find a different way to keep people in peril and talk about the threat of the graboids, going forward. Because even in this last movie, they had to move the location to South Africa.
Oh, they did? See,
Yeah.
I don't actually know much about the premise of this most recent movie.
Well, this most recent movie, they're dealing with an older form of the graboids. It's a little more lean, a lot bigger, but at heart, it's the same movie. Mm-hmm. It's the same sort of franchise. Oh, there's worms, run from the worms. Some people were too stupid to run from the worms.
And then they got eaten by the worms, and then, yeah.
Now, the thing is, if this is a series, you have to come up with an overarching plot, an overarching threat that the graboids possess.
Traveling graboids?
Well, see, people have assumed that might be something that they do. What I honestly think they could do, because they hinted at it in this recent movie, trying to breed them. Mm-hmm. Kind of Jurassic Park them.
And maybe not only breed them, but, test on them, try and create perfected versions
Genetic
of them.
modifier.
Yeah,
Shriekers, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. I couldn't remember the name. Yeah, the Shriekers, graboid Shriekers, and then ass blasters. That's the hierarchy, and then they lay eggs, and then the cycle starts over again. Now, the thing about it is, there's only so many tropes you can run through before each movie. It's like, okay, here's the part where they hit them with a bunch of ammo. Here's the part where they try to blow them up. Here's the part where they hide on top of rocks. That way they're not
and set traps for them.
Yeah, if you're gonna do it, you've got to make it fresh. Because, some people are bringing up here in the chat, having an old movie come back as a series can work very well. Case in point, Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Man, in fact, with Ash vs. Evil Dead, it's really interesting to see them go back and revisit old ideas, or even old styles of cinematography. Like, my favorite is, in this last episode, they even identified, the name of the thing that I really like, and I didn't know the name of it before, where it's just the camera kind of chasing through the woods or down the road, and clearly it's a monster or something that Ash sees.
Yeah.
It's evil. That Ash sees, but you don't see it because you're seeing it from the camera's perspective. And it used to clearly be just a dude carrying a camera and going over trees and logs and stuff. And now it seems pretty plain that it's on a drone, but it's the same.
But it's the same idea.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic update to something old. They keep doing that in Ash vs. Evil Dead, so I hope what they actually do, I hope they stick with a lot of practical effects, but kind of update the practical effects, and if you touch it with some CG, I think that'll be okay.
Well,
but
the thing is, with the more recent movies, they use more and more CG, of course, as time goes on. Mm-hmm. And the thing about it is, yeah, you use it to enhance things. You don't want to completely have... unless you absolutely have to, a completely 100% CG graboid. Mm-hmm. The practical effects are what got me interested in the series in the first place, going back to the first movie, because those are all practical effects. Those are graboid puppets. I mean, at some point you can tell it's a guy with his hand up what's basically an orange sock with teeth, biting at the girl.
Yeah.
But, it works. And the thing about it is, if you do it right, you can get a fan base and you can get more people interested. And when you do that, when you've got this backlog of 5 movies, you're going to sell more DVDs on the back end. And that's what you want. You want this thing to make money. But at the same time, you don't want to alienate people who were fans of it to begin with. And not everybody's a fan. Some people are like, Tremors, screw that. It's a stupid movie.
It is, old
it's a cult
and kind
movie
of
now.
hokey, horror, gory kind of thing, but... you almost have to laugh at it. It takes a certain kind of person to find Tremors to be especially, engrossing and entertaining.
Now, see, I like the question that's being brought up, and I was going to talk about that. So, people are asking, since Michael Gross's character, after the second movie, or actually during the second movie, he updates... what is it? Fred Ward's character about, I got divorced between the first movie and this one, and he's been divorced ever since, and his wife in the first movie, of course, was played by Reba McEntire, and they're asking, well, will she come back for this? And it's like, my answer to that, she won't. She's got much more important things to do, like the next Land Before Time movie.
You know what? You took the words right out of my mouth. It was Reba McEntire, right? Not
Yeah.
Dolly Parton?
No, it was Reba McEntire.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, but she's already done doing that. So considering she's already done doing that, maybe that opens her calendar up, you know? I'm done recording voices for cartoon dinosaurs. Maybe I can go back to this other really old franchise.
Because admittedly, I thought they were going to try and do that within the last 2 movies, you know, as a plot point, because it seems like a pretty obvious plot point. Like, oh, you guys broke up for a while, let's see you guys rekindle the magic, you know, both of you bonding over guns and graboids. It's kismet. Or at least it should be, you know. And then, but of course, going back to Kevin Bacon, like, the thing I think they're going to go with is, they show after the first movie that they did in fact get the cover of, like, Time or National Geographic, I forget which magazine, you know, for discovering the graboids to begin with. My thing is, I think they're going to show what he did with his fame. And I wonder if they're going to go into, like, Ash vs. Evil Dead route of, oh, well, he squandered his fame, he blew his money, and now he's got nothing else to do, so he needs to go hunt graboids. Or is he actually doing very well for himself? Because even then, his character was a very smooth talker. So they have their choice.
Or he decides, of his own accord, well, this is a really big problem, it hasn't gone away, I guess it's time for me to step back in here.
Well, he needs to have a good excuse for why he hasn't messed with the graboids.
Clearly hasn't wanted anything to do with it. Or somehow amazingly lived under a rock and heard nothing about the events of the previous 3 movies.
Yeah, but if he lives under a rock, they can get him.
Well, I got nothing.
Alright. So we'll have to wait for the series to come out to figure out what story they're going to tell.
Yes.
But I'm looking forward to it. I like all the Tremors movies.
Fun. Alright.
Alright.
Let's move on to our next story.
It's a little weird,
It is a little weird. So, this guy that you're looking at right now was the previous record holder for Donkey Kong. You might have seen his name come up. Let's see, his name is Billy Mitchell. Came up, and you might remember the documentary King of Kong, A Fistful of Quarters, came out in 2007, which I actually found really, really interesting. I like to use the phrase now, Donkey Konging someone, due to this obsessive concept of trying to get your name up on a leaderboard on a video game, like, and in order to Donkey Kong someone, you know, somebody else has got their name on the leaderboard up at number 1, right?
Yeah.
And you're just like, I want to get my initials in there so bad, so all you do is friggin' last long enough to get, like, a couple of points better than the previous guy, and then knock him down and you're number 1. So that's, you know, this idea of Donkey Konging somebody. So
I just call it gunning for number 1. That's what it is.
Yeah, but that's not cool. Donkey Konging is cool.
Okay, fine, if you prefer the term.
So in any case, for the longest time, like, this guy, for, you know, decades ago, as Donkey Kong was such a big deal back in the day, much like other similar games like Pac-Man and
Asteroids
Gradius and, you know, anything that required a score, just was in tons of, like, tournaments and stuff, and rocketed all the way up to having a world record for the longest time ever. And then, when did this episode come out? I'm looking at this here and I actually don't have that information. Cartoon Network aired an episode of the regular show, that was kind of a parody of King of Kong, the idea of, you know, being the best at a video game, and featured what seems pretty clearly like it was a parody
character based on him. It didn't have his name, it didn't really look like him very much.
Well, you know, I would argue...
I don't think it did.
Well, look at this guy. I don't know,
I don't know, that could be anybody.
It could be Jesus, admittedly. It could be Jesus. It's not, but
it could be Nash without his hair combed down. See, it could be...
Hair's too short. In any case, it's similar enough, and really he was an alien that was just a disembodied head kind of floating around in space. And he eventually loses, and his head just explodes.
From having lost.
But dude here, Mr. Billy Mitchell, was like, that guy looks like me. And I'm gonna sue. You are using my likeness, and I'm gonna sue. So that's, like, arguably, I would almost say, well, based on what this character in the show is doing, and based on what, like, the facial hair and the length and the color of the hair, maybe you can kind of see a resemblance, you know? But at the same time, that's kind of a douchey thing. Like, why complain about it? Like, to me, this says that he just needed money. He was really hoping he was going to get money out of it.
Alright, when we break this, there's two ways of looking at it. One, there's his perspective, where this character does kind of the things I do, mostly, you know, in relation to gaming. He looks a lot like me, or reasonably enough like me. And 3, I wasn't asked for permission if he is, in fact, based off my likeness and my chosen thing that I'm famous for.
Known for, yeah.
Based off that, then, yeah, he's got something to be upset about and want to seek legal action.
So I think he had a case.
Okay, but then there's the flip side, which is, of course, Cartoon Network and the people who make regular show. If you were, in fact, going to parody this guy, even from my standpoint, if he's an alien, you could have made him look a little more alien. If you guys actually were doing this and wanted to get away with it and not have to worry about him wanting to sue you, the easiest thing you could have done was, like, turn his skin blue or something, or give him change him just enough to where you scoot by. But you guys didn't really even do that.
Right. Well, thankfully for Cartoon Network, it did make its way all the way to a judge, and this New Jersey Federal District Judge Ann Thompson, and I'm quoting Gawker here, ruled that Mitchell's appearance had been exaggerated to the point that the character is cartoonishly evil. Also, that the show is protected by the First Amendment. The judge further went on to say that the television character does not match the plaintiff in appearance. GBF, that's the initials of the character Garrett Bobby Ferguson. It's a different name than the guy.
Yeah, so it doesn't have the same name. That's one thing they used to get by.
GBF appears as a non-human creature, a giant floating head with no body from outer space, while plaintiff is a human being. And when GBF loses his title, the character literally explodes, unlike the plaintiff. Like, that sounds so stupid.
That sounds really douchey, actually, on the part of the judge.
It does, but this tells me that the judge probably just looked at the lawsuit and just kind of went, and probably laughed over it, like, this is the stupidest, like, maybe he has a case, but come on, don't be petty, dude.
I'm hoping that's where she was coming from.
This is what I'm thinking this judge's mentality was. Yeah. Like, I really do think that if you wanted to be douchey, and if you had enough money to spend on a really freaking good lawyer, he probably could have pulled this in his favor, but it's still kind of a douchey thing to sue over, right?
See, the thing about it is he can still appeal.
Oh, yeah, he probably could, yes.
Try a different court. And you could say, yeah, it's a dumb lawsuit, but he's got enough, like the 3 points that I made, he's got enough to stand on with that. Mm-hmm. But then, like I was saying with Cartoon Network's end, one, they were smart enough to give him a different name.
Yeah.
But they should have taken it a little further is what I'm saying. If you're a corporation, if you're a show, protect yourself. Mm-hmm. Protect your own neck, all right? Because here, you gave him enough room to at least have a judge see you. See the case. And you would think they would have been a little smarter about that, because you think about any other show, not just cartoons, just any other show where at the end, you see that little snippet, the names have been changed in the show to not reflect that they were made after anybody's likeness or based off anybody in reality.
Yes.
You do that because you don't want to have to pay royalties. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to do that, you have to make sure you've done your homework to where it's like, okay, I have to make sure it looks like this guy, otherwise nobody's going to get it. But the thing is, other than, this documentary, who really knew who this guy was?
You would have had to have really been interested in the 1980s arcade scene in the United States to really understand.
And so in 2014, 2015, who would have known that? Beyond somebody who was around in that era or who was rabbit holing on Wikipedia one
who
night.
Studied up real hard on, got really fascinated about the arcade scene in that day and age. So, admittedly, this is where I'm getting at with this. I, again, repeat, I think he had something to go on, but I still think, that's really stupid and unnecessary to go after them specifically for.
I actually don't think it.
I would have laughed. If it were a parody of me, even if my head exploded, I'd have laughed, and I wouldn't have asked for anything.
Well, because the thing about it...
He's got to want money.
See, the thing about it is, what I would have gone for is not, oh, they used my likeness without my permission. What I would have gone for with the similarities go for slander.
You think?
Well, yeah, because if they're depicting him as cartoonishly evil, that's a whole nother case you can make.
Well, no, because slander, you have to state something as though it were fact. But when you're creating a fictional story, that's not what slander is.
No, you're right. So then he, just by that one little thing, see, that's the thing, they scooted by on that much, though. Mm-hmm. Just a name change. Otherwise, I see the resemblance, aside from, saying it could look like Nash. I don't know. I would have appealed. I honestly would.
Well, maybe he
just
will.
Just
maybe
give him
the story's not over.
Look, Cartoon Network, it's not like you don't have pockets. So just give him something.
Are you serious right now?
It's not like they can't afford it.
Yeah, but it's still like a douchey move.
On whose part? Technically,
on his part.
Technically, they're both being douches. Let's be honest here. One wants money, and one tried to get away with using somebody's likeness without having to pay.
I think you're all crazy. I think everybody...
Yeah, everybody involved is crazy.
Everybody involved is crazy.
Alright, so enough about that. Let's move on.
Yeah, screw this guy. Screw Cartoon Network. And that judge was really funny, though.
Okay,
I'll agree. The judge's side.
Alright, I'll agree with you that the judge went with the funny ruling. It's not often that they go with the funny ruling.
Nope. But, oh, geez, we're directly in front of these faces. Maybe this was a bad idea.
I don't know. Maybe. Okay. So, yes, the other night, again on Jimmy Kimmel, we got our first look at the trailer for Marvel's next movie, Captain America Civil War. And this, of course, has been blown up for the last day or so. Of course, this was adapted from the storyline Civil War. It's not going to be 100% that. We've said that before. And this trailer shows it more so here, that it's not directly the Superhero Registration Act. It's more of just talking about this kind of...
I don't agree with you. No, I don't agree with you. Alright, now we're picking sides, is what this is appearing like to me.
Well, because you look at the trailer and it looks action-y enough. This, of course, being also directed by the Russo brothers, who directed the last movie, Captain America the Winter Soldier. And that was a good movie.
I suppose as I was looking at this trailer... maybe, cause I was saying, well, looks like another Marvel movie, I guess. Cause to me, like, I wasn't super excited about it. Like, I'm not bored by it, and I really want to see it. But I was like, yeah, it looks like another Marvel movie to me. But I suppose if I were to only look at it as a Captain America movie, it's exciting. The problem is, actually, it doesn't look like a Captain America movie to me.
Even though you see Captain America everywhere?
It looks like an Avengers movie.
Well, see, that's the thing. Even Anthony Mackie, who plays the Falcon in the movie, has described it as such. This is Avengers 2.5. Before we get, the Infinity War movies.
That's where this movie is kind of sitting in my head, like, I don't know where to put it. Exactly, I guess. It's hard for me to picture it as a Captain America movie, and I want to categorize it more as an Avengers movie, but the title tells me it's a Captain America movie. So I want to be excited for it because it's a Captain America movie, but I want to be kind of like, it's another Avengers movie because it looks like another Avengers movie.
Because they're telling you one thing with the title, but they're saying something else with the imagery.
Yes, that's what I'm getting at.
What I'm looking at here when I look at this trailer, really the crux of it, if you go back to the comic, a lot of it had to do with their two stances on this horrible event that happens where a lot of people die in, and then the question gets brought up, well, should we regulate superhero activity? Mm-hmm. And then Tony Stark ends up being for it. No, we should be regulated. We shouldn't be running around with all this power. And Cap's like, no, that's an infringement on our freedoms, and I'm going to fight that. That story being told there in the comics lasted for a lot of different issues spanning different books, and you can say whether or not some stuff hit or missed. I agree that a lot of it missed. But they're not outright doing that story here. Here it's more having to do with the after effects of, say, the last two movies, the fight in New York at the end of the Avengers, this last movie with Ultron, and basically a whole town getting dropped out of the sky.
Yeah.
And then people deciding, you know what, maybe we shouldn't just let them run around. And there's some regulation to be involved, but a lot of it seems to do with... Captain America wanting to protect Bucky, the Winter Soldier. and him choosing Bucky over the rest of the team, over his other ideals. And I'm wondering how they're going to sell that to me beyond just this movie where they're saying, well, that's what he's doing.
Yeah, I get that.
Because really what I saw in both Captain America movies, in the first one and this last one with Winter Soldier, he's the most idealistic of the Avengers, without a doubt. And the way that Chris Evans plays him makes me believe that he's that idealistic. That, I believe in what I'm fighting in. I'm believing, you have to stand up to bullies in the first one. In the second one, we can't over-police. Here, I'm not sure what he's fighting for beyond just fighting for a friend, and I don't know that that's enough for the character as much as they've characterized him thus far.
Yeah, fighting for a friend, it makes sense only so far.
Right.
It does make sense for him as a character to really want to stand by his friend, but at the same time, to base a whole war and a whole I'm on this side and I'm on this side sort of thing around that decision, like, is he just so convicted about this decision about his friend that it just pissed everybody the hell off?
Well, see, the thing about it is there's
radically?
Now, to that end, there's a lot of stuff that the trailer shows, but there's a lot of stuff it doesn't show. We were having this conversation maybe about a week or two ago that one of the reasons you were worried about this movie is you didn't know who the villain was. And the thing about it is, we're gonna have a villain here in the movie with somebody help me, I forgot to bring that up. It's either Baron Strucker or Baron Zemo, one of the two here in the movie. There is supposedly a bigger threat looming in the background while all the Avengers are fighting amongst themselves, but they're not showing any of that. The one thing we see is an explosion that may or may not have something to do with that.
Right.
But as a whole, really, yeah, it's a focus on we just want to show all the Avengers on screen at once, and they're going to punch each other.
That's what it looks like to me. It's just, well...
Baron Zemo, okay, thank you.
It just looks like, well, all the Avengers are here.
And
cool.
They're fighting.
Yeah, cool. Like, I've seen them do that before, too, so...
It's
cool.
It's gonna be hard to see.
It looks fun, but it doesn't look new yet, to me.
No, I get that. I get that, because at that point, much like a lot of people argued for when the comic came out, it just seems like a cash grab.
Yeah.
Just a real easy thing to sell, and you don't have to worry about it. The other thing a lot of people are wondering about, and I saved this from the follow-ups to talk about here, is the inclusion of Spider-Man in the movie. As we all know, Tom Holland has been cast in the role of Spider-Man. He's already filmed his stuff, and now that we're starting to see trailers, we're hoping to catch a glimpse of what Spider-Man looks like. And there's a lot of hearsay one way or the other about what his role is. Just this week, Tom Holland came on record as saying, out of the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, Spider-Man now is the only character to have a secret identity. Because when you think about it, yeah, even though Captain America's wearing a mask, everybody knows he's Steve Rogers.
Right.
Iron Man, everybody knows he's Tony Stark. None of the other Avengers wear a mask. Sam Wilson isn't really... He's wearing goggles. That's not a mask.
Yeah.
And I that's the thing that always...
And I don't know if he's necessarily, trying to keep his identity hard,
Well, because, when you think about it, with the exception of maybe Ant-Man, nobody's wearing a mask. And this is the thing I hate about how when Marvel does it or when other, DC titles have done it, sunglasses and goggles are not masks, alright? You can try and give them that to replace a domino mask, but it's not the same thing, alright? Masks are masks. Masks have a certain, there's a whole... I'm trying to put it in the words. There's a mystique that comes with it. There's something to not knowing who it is behind that mask.
Yes.
And there's something to that effect that they talk about even on Supergirl, that when there's a hero among you, you do your best not to see them. Now, admittedly, yeah, we've got Black Panther there in the movie wearing a mask.
Pretty much the only new thing that got me even remotely excited, and I didn't see nearly enough of him in the trailer, but he's not hardly in the movie, but for a little bit anyway, right?
Right, because he's going to be getting his solo movie after the fact as well.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, Black Panther wearing a mask only amounts to so much when after a while you'll know, or it'll be made public, oh, you're the king of Wakanda. You're T'Challa. We know, okay, that's fine. We know who's under the mask. It doesn't even matter. See, at that point, why are you wearing the mask? It becomes a non-issue. Same reason why, Steve in these last couple of movies hardly wears his mask.
Right.
Because after a certain point, there's no point. And that's the thing. There's something to the mystique of the mask. Not knowing who's under that thing. There's something gripping about that. Having to hide a secret identity. And I think to me, that's what they're going to be bringing to Spider-Man's character here. Because if you've read the original comic, one of the big turning points is that Spider-Man reveals his identity, siding with Tony Stark. Hi, I'm Spider-Man, and I've been Spider-Man ever since I was 14 years old, to go on the pro registration site. But of course, Spider-Man eventually overturns that.
Also, right now, Spider-Man is like 14 years old?
Yeah.
The way they're casting him?
So that, you can pretty much figure that's getting thrown out the window, because I imagine if he has a conversation with Cap, it'll be as such that, hey, I get why you guys are doing what you're doing, good on you guys, I'm doing my thing over here in this section of New York, over in Queens, but, you guys stick it out. I don't have the luxury of fighting it out, in the middle of an airport like you guys do. I've got to do my thing over here. I've got people I've got to take care of. So I gotta keep this thing on, and I gotta still do what I'm doing. Y'all have fun beating each other up. I honestly think that's how that's gonna go, because that's the best way you can make use of his character.
Yeah, maybe so.
That, Cap's there trying to figure out, okay, what am I actually fighting for? And it's this kid who ends up setting him straight without trying, like, hey man, did you forget why you're doing this in the first place? Like, there's bigger things going on than one person. There's a lot of other people.
Yeah, I get
so
that.
I think actually the importance of Spider-Man in this movie isn't so much his revealing of his identity, it's actually him keeping his identity secret.
Yes.
That's what I'm at least hoping they're going to do. Because at this point, yeah, we have next to nothing to go on other than they filmed his stuff and it's already done, and they're working on writing his solo movie. And how that all plays out, we have yet to see. The other interesting thing about this movie, other than, of course, Black Panther being introduced, is the return of General Ross from the Hulk movies, played by William Hurt. Here, apparently, he's a lot of snark without the uniform. Mm-hmm. He's trying to get on he's trying to get on Captain America. Like, hey,
how big do you think his role is exactly?
Barely big, from what I've been told. Now, of course, there's the theories in the comic books. For those of you who read, or even if you've seen any of the Avengers cartoons, that eventually General Ross becomes the Red Hulk. Mm-hmm. And the actual Hulk is absent from this movie. So there's a theory that has been going around. I don't know how much...
There's a possibility of a Red Hulk?
A Red Hulk showing up. I don't know how true that is. I'm not willing to believe it outright. I just think it's interesting that they decided to bring that character back from that movie.
Especially when the Hulk is missing right
Exactly.
now.
And here he's trying to focus on the other superheroes. I mean, maybe they'll talk about that a little bit, where it's easier to take on an average-sized human than the big green guy. Because you can't not have him show up and not have somebody make a shot at him like, hey, so how'd that Hulk chasing work out for you? Because it didn't, obviously.
Clearly,
he's decided to go down different avenues to, I guess, keep some sort of power, if not military. Because that's the obvious thing about him. He's not in his, his dress green.
No, he's very well suited.
Right.
Suit and tie.
He's gone corporate.
Yeah.
Screw corporate. Because most of the time, General Ross, he's the antagonist. He's the guy you're going against. But here, that's as much as you get as of any sort of antagonist other than, Tony and Steve going at each other. And, yeah, the action's going to be cool, but where are the actual other villains? Baron Zemo, where's supposedly Red Hulk? Where's... Crossbones. We didn't even see Crossbones in this, and
we know he's there.
But we know he's there because we saw that little bit of leaked footage back from Comic-Con that he's there. We've seen the set photos that he's going to get into a fight with Cap. Why aren't we seeing that? Mm-hmm. Is it not that big of a deal? Is he going to take him out pretty quick? From some of the stuff I've heard from the set, like people overhearing what lines were being spoken, he's definitely going to be going after Cap's head, because he's obviously on the run from all these other agents, whether they be government or S.H.I.E.L.D. And the thing about it is, I don't want to see this become like a fugitive movie.
Right.
I
but
want
it's kind of what it looks like it's gonna be, though. If you ask me, that's what it sounds like. Because
I'm just wondering how it all fits together.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have me curious in the good way that, like, say... I know it's kind of hard to compare, but the way Star Wars is working right now, with all the little pieces they're putting out, I'm very happy for the way that I think they're going to fit together. Like, oh, these are interesting pieces of a puzzle. But
yeah, I think they're going to release other trailers that, much like Star Wars The Force Awakens, is going to show different angles of the movie that fill in slightly different gaps. One trailer will make you think the movie's gonna be like this, and then the next trailer's gonna think, oh no, the movie's more like this. And it's kind of got you questioning what angle is the movie actually coming from. I think it's too hard to tell with this trailer.
But the thing about it is you don't want to confuse your audience too much, otherwise they won't know beyond, oh, it's another Captain America movie, so I'm just gonna go see it because...
Because right now, that's how I feel.
Right, and see, it's not... I don't blame you for feeling like that.
Captain America currently is my favorite of the Marvel Cinematic Universe heroes. The first movie was my absolute favorite, and 2 I really, really liked. It was really, really close, but I just can't help it. The first movie was a good establishing movie. And then this third movie, I'm just feeling like, well, it's Captain America again. I guess I'll go see it, because I really like Captain America. And that's about it right now for me. That's just where I'm coming from.
It's just I'm trying to figure out what makes it so much that we have to have this, and you see at the end of the trailer, this knockdown, drag-out fight between Cap, Bucky, and Iron Man, where they're just laying into him. And admittedly, the choreography looks really good. But
it always does, you know?
But good choreography doesn't make up for a lack of story. I need to know why it had to come to that. You know, and if they can go ahead and prove that, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, I should say, because the Russo brothers really knocked it out of the park with the last one. Here, I'm seeing a lot more of the action and not so much the substance.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes Captain America work on screen, is that they've given him substance.
That's true.
So hopefully that remains intact for this. Otherwise, yeah, it'll be just, oh, that was fun to look. Basically like what Age of Ultron was. Like, oh, this is fun to look at, but I don't really buy a lot of this.
Yeah, I think it's mostly fun to look at for people who are already aware of all of those characters and what they do, and you're like really excited, he's on screen, but otherwise it's like, but I don't understand why he's here and here in this way.
Basically,
those were the feelings that I got out of the second Avengers movie, really.
So hopefully it will not be that. It will not be, Age of Ultron over again. God forbid it ends up like Iron Man 3, where it's the one we want to forget existed.
Yeah.
Because that's the one thing Age of Ultron did right, is that it pretends that Iron Man 3 didn't happen.
Yeah, thank God.
But I do still very much want to see this. We'll have this come out next year. We'll probably midnight it. I wouldn't doubt it.
More than likely, yeah.
I just hope we get to see what Spider-Man looks like, and that we're not too disappointed with him when he comes, to us from Marvel and not from Columbia.
Yeah, I get that. So I'm excited about that.
Yes, very much so.
If nothing else,
we'll keep you guys posted. As soon as we see anything of Spider-Man, we'll let you guys know.
Right. I guess that's going to wrap it up for all of our news stories, huh?
All right.
Yeah. So now is the time for us to get into our Q&A segment. So if you're here with us live right now, so glad that you're here, especially since this is weird that we're doing this on a Friday night rather than on a Thursday night. So thank you for being out here with us. So for the next half hour, we're going to be chatting with you guys and just talking. Really, just having a conversation, you guys and us. But if you are not watching it live, it would be awfully nice if you could get out here, typically on Thursday nights. Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Central, here at youtube.com/MarsGirl/live. And again, you can chat with us after the show for an additional 30 minutes, and it's always a good time. And everybody hanging out over here, they're all cool people.
Yes.
They're all real good people.
I can vouch for most of them.
They'll take you in. It'll be a good time.
Yes. But during the week, if you want to talk to us, you can always hit us up over on social media. I'm at Josh Knight First.
And I'm at MarsGirl. That's on Twitter, by the way.
Yes.
So.
And that having been said, that's been tonight's episode of Beyond the Black Rims. We will see you guys at a regular time next week.
Yep. Good night, everybody.